This is Acids and Bases Part 4, and in this section we're going to take a look at a really common lab procedure that's done when you're studying acids and bases called titrations. So a titration, the point of a titration is to try to figure out what the concentration of an unknown acid or base is by using a neutralization reaction. So what happens is you start with what's called a standard solution. So you have to have one solution that you know its concentration really well, and you put that in a piece of glassware called a burette. And then what you do is you very slowly add it to your unknown at the bottom. So in this example, they used a base on top and an acid on the bottom, and that's very common, but you could do this the other way and have the acid on top and the base on bottom. So what we do is we add an indicator to this acid, and as you drip base into it, at the point where it becomes neutralized, that indicator, usually phenolphthalein, is going to turn pink and show you that the solution is neutralized. So we've talked about neutralization reactions before. That's when we have an acid and a base and we put them together. That always produces a salt and water. So here's a few different examples of neutralization reactions. These are all acids with bases. They all produce a salt, which remember is any type of ionic compound, and then water. So you've seen all three of these at some point before. You don't necessarily need to write down all the reactions unless you really want to, but it's just a reference for you. So what you do when you do a titration is, again, we're dripping the solution into the Erlenmeyer flask below. This example of this graph on the side definitely has an acid at the bottom because as we're adding the solution from the top into it, the pH is increasing. So we must be adding a base to it. So what happens is that pH is going to increase very slowly until it gets to the point where the solution is neutralized, and then you see a big jump in pH. So if we look at this point right in the center here, that would be a pH of 7 because the solution is now neutral, and then the pH would increase slowly from there. So at that point, called the equivalence point, you get to where the concentration of the hydrogen ions, or hydronium ions if you prefer that, is equal to the hydroxide ions. And at that point, you have the same number of moles of each one. Okay, so that kind of a graph is called a titration curve. That's something that if you take any more chemistry, you'll see a whole bunch of these. So this one's not animated, so you can read the graph a little better. But so that's my equivalence point. That is when the pH is at 7. So what this graph tells me is that it took 50 milliliters of the base to neutralize the acid. In this case, this example uses a 0.1 molar concentration of sodium hydroxide. So if I know the volume and concentration of a base that it took to neutralize an acid, and I know the volume of the acid that I started with, I can use that to calculate the concentration of the acid, and that's what we're going to be looking at here. So since I can't show you a live titration in class, here's a video from Carolina Scientific that we buy a lot of our chemicals from, and they're showing you how a titration works. So they just drip some indicator in there, and what they're going to do, so this is my glass burette, and this thing is called a stopcock, and you twist it and you drip the acid or the base here into the acid. Now you can see in this case he's squirting it really fast. So typically if you were to do a full titration, you would start by kind of guesstimating where it is and go faster. And you can see as he squirts it in there, it starts turning pink. So the reason he's swirling it is to stir it. If you're doing this in a lab, like with a really precise setup, I would use a stir bar. So you can see his is really pink there. So that's to do a quick guesstimate. If you did this in a lab and you got it to be that pink, that would actually be a really bad thing if that were going to be your final trial here. So that's their initial one. So they knew about how much volume of base that it took to get their final solution. So they're going to go back and do that again a little slower. And you can see they're doing a little estimation here. And when they do it the second time, they go a lot slower and they drip it in and they drip it in and they get this really faint pink. When you get a really faint pink that stays, that's how you know that they're done. And that's what they're showing here. So that pink disappears and disappears. That's when you know you're getting really close to the equivalent point. They go drip by drip by drip. And if you guys get the chance to experience this, you'll find the joy of getting that exactly right equivalence point where you get a faint pink that sticks in your solution. And you'll probably experience the agony of getting impatient and going too fast and have it turn really dark pink. So that's kind of how a titration works, just basically, so you can see what we're talking about here. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to solve titration problems. These are actually not difficult. There's two ways that you could do it. You could use stoichiometry, and that works just fine. What we're going to use for the rest of this video is the titration formula. This should look very familiar to you because this is the same formula as the dilution formula that we used when we studied solutions. So that's concentration. The A is for acid, so the concentration of an acid times the concentrate or the volume that it took to neutralize that solution is equal to the concentration of the base times the volume that it took. So if you set those equal, you're going to find that the moles are actually going to be equal. Because remember, concentration here, if we're talking about molarity, is in moles per liter. If the volume is also in liters, a mole per liter times a liter is a moles. So what we're doing in this equation is we're setting the two amounts of moles for the acid and base equal to each other. So I have a couple different examples here for you to look at to see how this works. So in number one, we're looking for the concentration of an acid, and we know the volume that it took to the volume of this base that it took to neutralize the acid that we have. So we know the volume of the acid, we're looking for its concentration. We know the volume and concentration of the base. Here's the formula that this reaction would have. You don't necessarily need to write a formula each time because we're not using stoichiometry. But here's our equation. So I'm going to take the volume of the acid, the 30, and set that equal to the concentration and volume of the base, and I'll just solve that out, and I get a concentration of my hydrochloric acid. That's a titration problem. That's not really a whole lot of work here. So how many moles were used? Now, what I said before is if I multiply the molarity and the volume together, I'm going to end up with a number of moles. So I'll show you how that works. So it is important that you use the volume here in liters, since molarity is in moles per liter. So I'm going to multiply those two guys together, and when I do, the 0.17 in molarity is in moles per liter. If the volume is in liters, then the 2 liters cancel out, and you get moles as your answer. Okay, number two, same idea, except in this one, they actually ask you for the concentration of the base. So we know 20 milliliters of this base is neutralized after 25 milliliters of 0.05 molar acid. So in this one, they used a known concentration of acid, and they're looking to find the concentration of the base. Same formula, the only thing is that my variable that I'm looking for is on the other side. So I'm looking for that concentration. If you had flipped them, as long as you keep the right concentration with the right volume, it doesn't really matter if you do them, on opposite sides. We solve and we get this concentration. That's the way that works. So on number three, same idea, except we're asking for volume. So we're looking for the volume of an acid. That's why it's really important that you can recognize an acid when you see one. It makes these a whole lot easier. Same thing with a base. I know this is an OH, so I know this is a base. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm looking for the volume of the acid here, so that's my variable. They gave me the concentration and volume of the base. The only way to make these trickier is maybe to give you the before and after volumes on the burette. In that case, you would just subtract and find the volume that was used. So then I'm going to multiply and divide and get 27.5 for the volume there. Here it doesn't matter, by the way, if this is in liters or milliliters. It's just whatever unit I put the volume in with, my answer is going to have the same unit. But I don't have to worry about it being liters because I'm not trying to cancel it out with molarity. On number four, and this is the last one, what volume of 0.2 calcium hydroxide will neutralize 45 milliliters of a 1 molar solution of chloric acid? So I'm going to use that same equation here. And I'm going to I'm going to multiply and then divide out my 0.1. So this one is the volume of the base. So we've solved, I think, for all four variables, but it's the same equation. So the volume of the base that you get is 225 milliliters. I went ahead, I noticed this one only had one sig fig, and I think there was another example that was similar to that. If you did that, you would end up sig figging that to 200 milliliters. That would be a terrible value for a titration experiment. You need really precise numbers to do well with titrations. So that's it for solving titrations. It's not the hardest thing you've ever done, and that's really the last thing that is new for this school year. So we're going to call it good. So I hope that helps you guys understand it, and let me know if you have questions.